Trump is starting to already backtrack on his promise to bring down the price of groceries. But I would argue that this election was never about the price of groceries. It was never about that. You have a lot of Americans that say, I don't like the personality, but I sure do like the policy. And I would argue they like the personality, that they really, really like it. What are your thoughts on that?
What cracks me up is when people say, well, I like Trump because he says what everybody's thinking. I'm like, if that's what you're thinking, you're beyond fucked up. But I, too, do not believe it's about the price of eggs. I am not one bit surprised that he is now admitting he can't do anything about inflation, because what Biden did leads the world in recovery from COVID. And there's no question that these tariffs that he's going to impose are going to raise the cost of groceries even more. But here's what I struggle with on this whole thing. He lied. I think the people who voted for him knew he was lying when he was talking about it.
Of course they knew he was lying. Everybody knows he is an objective liar. It's objectively proven that he is a liar. Of course, the situation is nobody cares that he lies. Nobody cares. They don't. What they like about him is people are mad. And he says things and he sticks by it. For example, I'm going to release the January Sixers. He said it. He's beat that drum. He made a stupid song for them. And now he's come out and he says, I'm going to do it within the first 9 seconds. And I was watching corporate media last night. And it's like, oh my God, Donald Trump is going to release the Sixers within the first 9 minutes after being inaugurated. Can you believe it? And I'm like, yes, I can. And here is the lesson. He said he was going to do it. He stands by it. Is it cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? Yes. But what people like, even though it's immoral and or amoral, they like that he just says it and it's not bullshit. And he just beats the drum and he does it again and again. I found this clip really interesting. So this was a story on CNN, and this is regarding immigration. And they interviewed a farmer in South Dakota, and I want to share this with you and our viewer.
What percentage of your workers are not U.S. born?
Probably half.
About half?
Yeah.
How many hours does this go on?
It's 24 hours a day. You know, we could milk 8 hours a day, but it wouldn't be feasible or profitable for us to produce milk.
So you need workers like this year-round?
Yes, yes.
Governor Kristi Noem of South Dakota, her farm is just a few miles away. This farmer who voted for her, who voted for Trump, who still supports them, doesn't believe that they would round up immigrants and ask them for their immigration status, because it's an open secret that farms in this state are held up by undocumented workers. Are you worried, like some of your other farmers, that if there were a mass roundup of undocumented migrants, that you might lose workers? You might not have enough workers.
Well, the question I asked, how are they going to do that? Within 2 days, we will not have food. There will not be food anywhere.
2 days?
Yes. That's why I predict nobody will be filling the shelves, nobody will be producing food. If we once have to shut down and be gone, it's never coming back.
Does Governor Noem understand that?
I would think so.
You have a lot of faith that they're not going to do what they're saying.
That's pretty much what I'm thinking. So we have to trust in our officials that are put in place.
Okay, so think about this. He has total clarity about immigration. He has complete, crystal clear knowledge of immigration and its impact on the economy, and not only the supply chain that gets essential food to the American public. Yet, he's voted for Kristi Noem, who killed her dog, but that's neither here nor there. He voted for Donald Trump, who incessantly, persistently, constantly talks about immigrants poisoning the blood of America in an ode to Hitler. And he goes on and on and on about rounding them up, deporting them, deporting the whole family, regardless of their status, etc. And this guy says, with a straight face, they know they can't do that. And then he says, but we also have to trust the people we elect. I am I'm dumbfounded at this. I am absolutely dumbfounded that somebody has that kind of clarity and goes and votes against his economic interest for the likes of dumbass Kristi Noem, who is dumber than a box of hot rocks, and a mentally ill person, Donald Trump.
What I look at that, I am just so, I'm like, you have this clarity, but you just don't think he's going to do it. And I'm like, he said he would overturn Roe. He overturned Roe. Believe what he says. He will do it. I think that the reality is, this is an open question for me, but the reality is these people know exactly what he intends to do. They either think that he won't do it or that it won't affect them because of their business, or that they're special because he protects them. So I don't know if it's denial, cognitive dissonance, don't care, arrogance. I don't know. I don't know what the root cause of it is, but I look at that and I think, and I shouldn't feel this way, but I look at it and I think this is the fuck around and find out portion of America. We have now fucked around and we are going to find out. We are going to find out that tariffs, in fact, are a sales tax that the American consumer will pay. We are going to find out, in fact, that immigrants add to our economy with their labor. We are going to find out that we are far more dependent on immigration than we think. And they are going to be dire revelations, according to this man. But I don't get it. I'm so completely unable to understand why somebody would do this.
I used to really suffer from falling asleep and then waking up at like 2:30, 3 a.m., what I like to call the witching hour. And then I just could not get myself back to sleep. That's why I'm so happy to share my experience with Beam's Dream.
Beam's Dream is so nice because I have a problem falling asleep. So it helps me to fall asleep and I don't feel groggy the next day. And if I don't sleep, I'm cranky and unpleasant.
That's why we are so excited to talk about Beam's Dream Powder, a science-backed, healthy, hot cocoa for sleep. This product has single-handedly changed the way we sleep for the better. Listener, other sleep aids can cause next-day grogginess, but Dream contains a powerful, all-natural blend of reishi, magnesium L-theanine, epigenin, and melatonin to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. If you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, get up to 40% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/IHIP and be sure to use our code IHIP at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/IHIP and use code IHIP for up to 40% off. I think that it's deeper than all of this. We can sit and say, he's going to raise tariffs, it's going to raise prices. He can do this, he's going to do that. This has been a decade-long phenomenon of this man. And is it something way more nuanced that you have talking heads that look like us that are in our tax bracket trying to explain to the majority of Americans that are working class people, and the wealth disparity continues and continues and continues. And you have on the coast these Ivy League educated, sleek, metrosexual men explaining policy to them. Or you have Trump that goes, I'm going to go around and I'm going to do all of this. And does he just speak their language? Does he speak their language? And, Biden did a lot of good things, but for the last year of his presidency, it appeared that he was bumping into walls. And we lost a lot of credibility with the public with that. He should have said 2 years prior, I'm a one-term president. I want a robust primary. And I think that degradation to the Democratic brand really was damaging on the electorate, and the right-wing media echo chamber pounded it and pounded it and pounded it about Biden. So by the time they switched, Kamala made up some ground, but that 2 years where the right-wing media, every little misstep that Biden made was amplified and amplified. And there's no question. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, oh, yeah, he seemed 100% with it all of the time. He didn't. He seemed old and oftentimes like, oh, God. Sometimes he would speak and I'd go, oh, my God. Oh, my God. And is it fair that Trump says even crazier shit and gets away with it? No, it's not fair. But Trump's craziness felt like he was alive. It felt, even though he was like, Hannibal Lecter, he said it, and Hannibal Lecter. And he said it with kind of this liveliness. And so I think it's a deeper thing. I don't think this election was ever about grocery prices. I don't think it was ever, I do think for a portion of the American public, there is a big white supremacist lean, and that they have a huge problem when they see people with brown skin in grocery store lines speaking different languages, because I've witnessed it. I've seen people get riled up, and I've seen the racism, and I've grown up around the racism. And I do think that issue caused a huge, huge problem. But why didn't the Democrats have guys like this, a farmer, talking nonstop? Instead, the right baits us in to talk about trans issues and all of these wedge issues. That trans issues don't impact this farm.
No.
In South Dakota. I just think that the autopsy from all of this is the Democrats have got to message better, have got to consolidate an echo chamber. And I do think Biden should have campaigned the whole time he was in office. Now, am I talking about campaigning for his next reelection? No, I'm talking that everything has changed now. We're in a post-Trump America. And after you get into office, you have to take victory laps. You have to, celebrate in the end zone. You've got to, because the American public wants to be endlessly entertained.
Right. I totally agree with that, especially when you have an electorate of young people that all they've known in politics is Trump, his crazy antics and his animation. I mean, the dignity of the office has been gone ever since he started tweeting policies on Twitter when he was in his first election. It really is, though. I just get to the point, though, like you're talking about the right-wing media. All they do all day long is complain about how terrible Biden is and how great Trump is. How are they going to whitewash that when things go belly up? Or are they? Or are they just going to pee on your leg and tell you it's raining? Because that's what they've been doing.
They're going to do exactly what they've been doing. Exactly what they've been doing. We already know what they're going to do. Look at January 6th.
Right.
They flipped it to where somehow the FBI and Antifa did it. I mean, it's just, it won't matter what he does. And he said it in 2016. I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and my supporters will still vote for me. And that truer words have never been spoken from that man's mouth. He can do all of those, everything that he does, he can do with impunity because the right-wing media worships him to a very bizarre level. They no longer care about accountability, and they have to keep the American public's eye off the ball all the time that Trump is consolidating billionaires at the top of the government now that only have the interest of less than 1% of the American population. And they're going to bring up all of these social wedge issues, drag queens, trans people, gay people. And they're going to say, oh, there's this alphabet mafia, and they are with the immigrants, and they are terrorizing the United States of America. Meanwhile, the real terrorizing is coming from corporate America. Corporate America is causing the most harm to people. Why? When inflation caused groceries to rise, the most obvious thing that Congress could have done would have been to raise wages. That was never an option. Never an option, because we always have to give deference and worship to corporations and their shareholders, and they have gotten the American public to buy into it. And this farmer that knows that if he deports people, that his business is going to go belly up, and he says, I know, it's like, I know that he has to tell the people in my community that are dumber than me. That's what I interpret that as. I know that Trump and Noam have to tell the people that are dumber than me. We have to get these immigrants out, but they're not going to do it because we all worship money too much. That's the message there.
Oh my gosh. Sorry. It's so true. It's so true. I did read in the Time article also that he said, we've just got to get away from the social issues, all of the culture wars. And then it's like he spent $40 million talking about trans people who affect none of the issues that we're talking about. They don't affect immigration. They don't affect tariffs. They don't affect anything. And the hypocrisy, it just makes me think people don't care. They just don't give a shit. That's just what I've come to. They don't care.
All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow.